Back with another flashlight review. This is of the 4Sevens Preon1 flashlight. Here it is, everything it comes with. It's a nice little package, cute little box. Comes with a battery. Thank you very much, 4Sevens, for including the AAA battery. Comes with the instruction manual. Nice little instruction manual, pretty simplistic. Doesn't need a whole lot for this light. Some extra O-rings, a keychain mount, and I think maybe this is a lanyard mount. I'm guessing, not positive, but I think maybe if you want to replace the pocket clip with that, get that out of the way. And so there's the light. Now this light is the baby brother to the 4Sevens Preon1, previously reviewed, and I mentioned that I would get to a review of the Preon2 after I got it a couple days later, and here it is. Picked it up, and there's a little size comparison for you between the two lights. This Preon1 comes in a couple different colors. This here is the red. Now they say that their latest batch of red came out a little bit lighter, so this is kind of a rose color, not really a pure dark red, but it's a little bit lighter. So if you're looking for a dark red, maybe wait for them to get their next shipment out. Also comes in a black, which they refer to as stealth, comes in this yellow or more of a gold color, comes in a royal blue, and also comes in titanium, which is basically a polished silver looking color. Now it is titanium. You pay a premium for it. You pay an extra $17, I believe. $17, $18 extra for that titanium. The current version, I honestly don't care for. I know someone that has it. If you really want a titanium light, go ahead and pick it up. But the current polished one just ends up getting scratched to death and looks not very nice. If you're going to keep it in a pristine environment and not really going to cause any wear on it, then great, have at it. But the way it is, that polished version of the titanium, I don't recommend it right now. I did talk to 4Sevens about this and kind of, gave them my thoughts on that. And they said, I guess they've heard that from other people. And they're apparently coming out with a version of that titanium that is a brushed finish. And that would actually probably be very nice. Brush finish the titanium. If you're looking for a titanium and you don't want something that scratches, you could go ahead and pick that up. So, again, here it is in comparison with the Preon2. It is about 2 inches shorter. 0.6 ounces is the size. This is only 0.8 ounces, so they're both very small. 2.95 ounces as far as the size of this. 2.95 inches, sorry. This is 5.05, so just a little bit longer. The diameters are pretty much about the same, just over half an inch, 0.55 inches. And as I mentioned, this weighs in at 0.6 ounces versus the 0.8 ounces of this. So both pretty lightweight flashlights, depending on how brightly you're looking for and how long of a, size-wise you're looking for, depending on what you're going to do with it. Construction of it, same construction of both of these. It's a hard anodized aircraft-grade aluminum. Now, when I did the review of this Preon 2 here, I mentioned that I didn't know how it was going to hold up. And let me zoom in a little bit. And you can see there that it has gotten a little bit scratched up. I'm not sure what I scratched this on, but this finish is going to wear just a little bit. It's going to show some scratches depending on what you do with it. It gets a little bit dinged up, so it's not the super tough finish I was hoping it might be, but again, not a huge deal for what it is. It just is going to show some wear. Otherwise, going over the construction of this, starting at the back here, this does not have a clicky tail cap. I guess I'll bring this back in. The Preon1, or the Preon2 rather, does have this clicky tail cap. You can actually get this tail cap for the Preon2, or the Preon1, sorry, I get these numbers confused. I actually had a red tail cap, red clicky tail cap for this on order, and I actually called and canceled it, because one of the problems I have with this Preon2 is that sometimes I find it on in my pocket, because this button is not that hard to press. And today I got home from work, had this in my pocket, and it was on. I don't know how long it was on for, and I'm not sure how long that ate the battery. At least when I click it on, it's clicking on at the low setting, so the battery is not going to die as much as it's not coming out at the full brightness. But that's an issue. So given that fact, and given the general purpose for carrying this light, I went ahead and decided to just keep it with this flat tail cap and just use the user interface as it was initially constructed. Because of that flat tail cap, you can tail stand it if you're so inclined. Get this back out of the way. Moving on down, pocket clip. Nice pocket clip. It has a lanyard hole here. Not too stiff. Maybe it could be just a hint looser, but it's not bad. It'll fit in your pocket pretty well. Not going to have any underclip issues because this is obviously nice and smooth under here. The finish on this, again, is that aircraft grade aluminum, and 4Sevens kind of talks about it being almost a rubbery type feel. And gripping it, it actually is a little bit grippy. I'll give it that. I'm not sure quite how they do that, but it's pretty nice. The cap here and back, I'm not going to take it all the way off, but this unscrews if you want to put that clicky tail cap on there. And you can remove this pocket clip if you want. If you just want to let this dangle free in your pocket, it's so small, you probably wouldn't even notice you have it. The head here, the way that you do the user interface, which I'll get into in a minute, is by twisting the head. Head does come off. Obviously, there is a O-ring here. There's also an O-ring in back. AAA battery, again, included by 4Sevens. Thank you again. There's the inside. Put that battery back. This does have the IPX8 rating like all their lights do. The head here up to the front, optical grade, glass lens, and a reflective coating on both sides. Has the Cree XPG S2 LED in there, and that reflector is a little bit textured. So there's the overall construction of it. Now, getting into the brightness and throw of this, let me turn one of these lights off. So give you a little bit of an idea here. Now this has 3 brightness settings, and the way you do this is you basically just rotate the head here. So you tighten it and it goes on to 2 lumens. It'll do that 2 lumens for 23 hours. And then to get to the next brightness, you just go loose and tight. You do it within a second. That'll move up to 13 lumens. It'll do that for 6 hours. And then one more round of that, loose tight. 60 lumens, 37 minutes. These are ANSI lumens. They're finally got on board. Everyone's gotten on board pretty much with these ANSI ratings. So it's very nice because you can actually compare apples to apples with all the different flashlights now. So it has those 3 brightness levels. It does have several hidden modes, and the way you get to those hidden modes is you go low, medium, high, and then it goes into those hidden modes. So I'll show you that. Here we go, low, medium, high, and then it goes into the strobe, SOS, and then there is a high and a low beacon. Oops. There's the high beacon. It will flash 5 times at that bright mode, 60 lumens. And then, after that 5 times, it will flash once every 10 seconds. Should be coming up here soon. And there it is, once every 10 seconds. And it'll do that for 8 hours. The SOS will go for 2.4 hours, and that strobe 1.6 hours. Forgot to mention that. There's also a low beacon mode, and again, there we go. High, low, high, low, high, low. It'll do that 5 times, and then it will go into the low beacon mode. And this low beacon mode should come on again every 10 seconds. This low beacon mode is at 13 lumens. And it'll do that 13 lumens of the low beacon mode for 40 hours. So plenty amount of time. You know, if you want to tail stand it and mark something with it, you know, it's not super bright, but it might be just enough to, you know, to get whatever you want to mark with it. And again, 40 hours is going to go on forever for you. So, turn the lights back on. What else? The versatility of it. It's, you know, uses for this light, a couple different things. One of the things that I use a lot of my flashlights for is I work in the hospital in the ER, and I'm looking at people's throats and mouths and eyes and things like that. So this is a nice light for that. You need something a little bit dimmer to look in people's eyes, otherwise they get mad at you. So that 2 lumen output is pretty nice for that. I think 4 to 5 might be a little bit more ideal just from my experience, but 2 lumens is bright enough within reason, I guess. The 13 lumens is good for looking in throats, and the 60 lumens, well, I guess you can shine that somewhere into the dark. Other than that, it's a great backup light. You know, maybe you're carrying something more tactical, something brighter, and you want a light that's going to be a little bit more versatile. Also, the fact that this has the AAA batteries, you can get those batteries anywhere as opposed to the CR123 batteries that some of those other lights have. So this is a great backup light because it's easy to, you know, to power with what you can find the batteries anywhere. It's a great light around the house 2 lumens is just bright enough for getting around the house at night. You know, you don't need something that bright. Some of those other outputs on some of those lights, like 9 lumens for the Phoenix PD20 that I have, it's really just kind of too bright for in the dark. Once your eyes get adjusted to the dark, that 2 lumens is plenty bright. You're not going to need anything bigger than that. It's obviously not a tactical light, you know, with this user interface and the brightness of it, but again, for just sort of a general everyday carry light as well, it's nice. You know, it's small. Again, here it is compared to that Preon 2. Size is super small, so I can put this in my pocket, and I have no idea that it's even there. I have no fears of it coming on since it doesn't have the clicky tail cap, which is the big reason that I'm actually going to forego getting that tail cap, I think. I had it on order with 4Sevens, and I wrote to them and had them cancel my order. Maybe later I'll get it, but right now, you know, for the purpose of this light, you know, for the uses that you're probably going to have for it, the user interface that comes with it is perfectly fine with me. I've gotten used to it. It's very easy to operate. You can actually operate the Preon 2 in that same method almost, but I didn't find it to be quite as consistent or reliable as the way this operates for some odd reason. With this, I think you have to click it on, and then you can cycle through those. So a little bit different. Price on this, $37 compared to, I think the Preon 2 is $45. So, you know, the non-flashlight person might think that $37 for a flashlight is crazy, but for everything you get for $37 for this little small light, I mean, it's a great little deal. Hard to beat. If you're looking for a backup light, an everyday carry light, doesn't need to be too bright, this 4Sevens Preon1 is a great light, so check it out. And again, thanks for watching.